All right, so this is gonna be a little bit later into the day. We took no trades. I'm gonna be going over the market with you, and we're gonna be analyzing what we saw, what we're expecting for tomorrow. Basically, a charting session for tomorrow. Honestly, if I'm being truly honest, today was one of those days where I went into the market and I thought to myself, like, is it really worthwhile to trade this? So came into the market looking at only had a 30-minute time window. So it was around 10 o'clock right here, 10:06 to like 10:30, around there. I was looking at the market and I thought to myself, is this worthwhile? We were just moving down lower on the 15. We were just breaking structure to continue to the downside. The 15-minute fair value gap also got disrespected and it got inverse. You can see push up higher to then eventually move lower 32 points, and then eventually 50 points, and then eventually another 50 points, and that was majority of the move. Majority of the move was around 175 points, and then eventually after that you can see we just stalled. And PM session, you're just inside of a 50-point range. Now you're slowly climbing out of it due to Asia session coming in and that power 3 kicking in. So we're going to go up to the higher time frame. We're going to go to the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we are bullish. And what did we form? We formed a daily buy side imbalance while also forming a daily CRT. Usually we like seeing a CRT just for a retracement in this scenario since we're bullish. You want to see the CRT push us lower, sell side manipulation to then eventually target buy side, and then eventually on the 4-hour time frame we had a 4-hour buy side imbalance, which we are going to take off. The main reason why I was bullish and looking for longs was simply because of this right here, a break of market structure higher, 4-hour buy side imbalance. This one really didn't matter much since this was left unfilled. I wanted to see the market come and retrace to then eventually push up higher, but I knew that wasn't gonna happen the next day. After such a big expansion move, we're not gonna have clean price action. Usually it takes a couple of days to recover, get some more volume in there, and then eventually starts moving back to its regular speed. Usually during news, again, I was saying this before the news and all that, we're gonna have the manipulation, the accumulation, and then the strong distribution. What was all this right here? This was your manipulation, those SMTs, and eventually what you had your strong distribution, and then this was all the accumulation, manipulation, and then your strong distribution. And the market is now going to go back to its normal pace, which is something like this, where it just starts to expand up higher. If not, it chops and then expands and just has regular expansion moves, like 4 up close candles. Usually it's going to move with just those clear up close candles. It's not really going to stall as much. It's going to have like these type of candles recently, it's going to have like this type of movement, like this right here, just clean, nice, candles, not much volume, not like this right here. This is all during certain weeks where we have high impact news, but the next couple of weeks we shouldn't have too much. So yeah. And then eventually we have a 4-hour SIBI. Basically that got inverse. Now we have a bearish BPR there. And then if we go to the 1-hour time frame, we had this 1-hour sell side objective along with this one, but this one was just short term, and eventually it got met. And then we had our buy side objective, and you can also see we had CRT form, so maybe shorts were promising. On the 15-minute time frame, we had a 15-minute buy side imbalance, which did get an inverse. I was looking to see if we could retrace into it once more to then eventually push lower and target this sell side objective, but we never got that during that time window I was looking at the market. And as you can see here, we also had that CRT form. So again, my bias was bullish, but we weren't hitting any sort of higher time frame PD arrays since we're breaking all-time highs. We're not really, and again, this is another thing too. I don't like trading this where we break all-time highs and we're coming right back down. I don't like trading this right here, the move lower. I like trading to break above that external high that we created. That's the move I like catching. All this right here, so I like catching this right here. This is my piece of the pie that I like catching. This right here, on the other hand, is not me. I do not like catching that right there. I like catching this right here. That's what I like to catch. Anything else other than that, I'm not really trying to trade. I mean, truly on it. I don't like trading this. Just from backtesting my strategy or system, I don't like trading like this. I don't like where we have an inversion. We take it off of the SIBI, break a market structure, and we take that. I don't like that. I'd rather be inside the market whenever we see a higher time frame confluence form, and then we have a lower time frame entry model with the confirmation time frame aligning, like the 15-minute. That's why you usually see me with 2 charts here, like a 15 and then a 1 minute. I don't like trading with just one chart open in one time frame. I like looking at multiple time frames. I like having one where my entry is, and eventually the other one where I can scale and look at higher time frames and see the overall like bigger picture. And where I entered and seeing if we're gonna move up from my objective or move lower depending on if I'm. That is pretty much really it from the lower time frame. Let's go over this trade idea here. So let's go over the lower time frame market conditions here, and here you can see we had a breaker market structure to push us lower. Eventually this was your first inversion, a very small fair value gap right there. This was your false breaker market structure, and There was no fair value gaps other than this one right here. This could have been your trade idea right here. If you wanted to just get a quick 1 2 1 right there, you would have never got the 1 to 1 unless you had your stop at the low. Then you would have got your 1 2 1 right here, aiming at that high. That would have been your quick 1 to 1 if you were aiming for that. But I don't know who's going to be aiming for that. Then you had to break a market structure. You also had this sell side imbalance right there. This would have been the best trade idea. And if not, then this one right here, after you had another continuation to the downside, confirming the move lower into the 4-hour sell side imbalance right here, or buy side imbalance, which was still yet to be tapped up into, retrace, and that would have been your entry to then eventually target this the buy side imbalance. And you can see we formed another bearish order block to continue to the downside there. And again, the market was just showing what indication to move lower. Bearish, break a market structure, continue to the downside, break a market structure. Every time you would break above order highs, it would be just sweeps, and then eventually it will continue back down to the downside, honestly. And eventually what the order block was respected to continue back down to the downside. Just reading order flow and understanding that, you're bearish. Why would you want to try to trade on the lower time frame against the higher time frame order flow? You know what I'm saying? Like, wait for a higher time frame confirmation of a change in the state, like a 15 or 1 hour CRT, or a change in the state, like bouncing into a fair value gap, and then eventually giving you like a bullish change in state with a order block or something. So yeah, that's really it. Now what am I going to be watching? I'm going to be watching to see if the 1 hour wants to retrace on the 15-minute time frame. We're going to mark out these lows on the 15. Yeah, we're going to mark out these lows, have them ready. Those are relative equal lows. Watching to see if tomorrow we can come back down and then eventually move up higher. What I would prefer to see though is this. So I would prefer to see this right here, break those lows, sweep, and then eventually have an internal, and then eventually target higher prices. That's kind of what I would want to see. Of course, it's going to be slowly climbing back down there, and then eventually form an internal low, and then sweep that, and then eventually starts to target higher prices and target buy side objectives that form inside of this bearish BPR. So yeah, that's pretty much really it of what I would want to see. But if the opposite happens, again, really looking for the same thing, honestly, looking for a move higher, forming a relative low, and then eventually targeting higher prices. That's basically the only two scenarios I would want to see. Anything else, if we don't sweep internal, then I'm not really trying to look for a trade idea. If I'm being truly honest, if we're not having some form of internal sweep, I'm not trading. Again, I just usually have the highest conviction whenever we see an internal sweep and the market is just like confirming the bias even further. Like if we're breaking above highs, we have internal PDRAs, and we come back down with sweep, and then eventually start pushing up higher inside of a higher time frame PDRA like this, then eventually, of course, I'm bullish. I'm going to continue to look for longs and try to find an entry model there. And that's basically really it for this video. I know it's a short trade recap. Again, the account summary. We're at 49,165. I'm going to pull up the accounts right now. All right, before that, I want to show you guys what I've been up to. I know if you're watching the vlogs, you probably know about my playbook and my gallery right here I've been working on. So these are all the A+ trades. These are the back tested ones. These are the trades taken on live. So like the prop firm accounts, the combines, and all that. But these are the ones that I've back tested, and I currently am back testing a little bit more. And you can see here we're on round 3. These are all the winning trades I've taken recently. We're currently on trade 9. My goal is to take at least 100 trades back testing this week. I think majority of them will be completed during the weekend, because during the week we're trying to focus on the market, trying to focus on reviewing our trades, and seeing what we're expecting, charting and all that, and then eventually we got work. It's very hard to back test, but I was getting some trades in last night, and let's show you guys the account right now. So this is the Top Step account. We're currently up 592 all last month. Coach T tip: big trades should come only after you proved yourself with small trades. Consider starting your day off with small profits, then build them up so you can start to trade bigger. Always make sure you have a safety net when making larger trades. I'm gonna have to, that's solid advice, but for me, it's not applicable right now with how I'm trying to approach these prop firm accounts. I'm sorry, Coach T, if you're hearing this. But yeah, we're made 1.5. Today we took no trade. Last week we took no trade. No trade here. Monday's not really looking too hot here for this one, but on the alpha futures it was a break even. And tomorrow we're gonna look at the news event. So if we pull up Forex Factory tomorrow, all we have is 8:30 PPI, and then eventually Friday we have after 8:30, waiting for 9:30 opening, and then eventually to 10 o'clock the opening range, seeing what we're getting, and try to eventually take what the market gives to us. Here's the Alpha Futures account. All right, so here's Alpha Futures account. We're down 1.2, 237 right here on this one, and then we made so we're down on this one, which is pretty unfortunate. Even though the trade idea was correct, we're slowly have to just build our way back up. And eventually, again, on this one, I plan on Top Step. I plan on buying, some more profit from accounts next week. Probably on Monday, or Sunday afternoon, we're gonna buy like two more, and eventually we're gonna copy trade those two. And if this one's not passed by then, or if we're close to the profit objective, it depends how close we are. If we're still at the same range we are right now, like only like 1% or 2%, I'm gonna copy trade all of them. And if we're not, then if we're close, like the profit objective, we're like at 4% or 5%, I probably won't copy trade it. I'll try to just focus on passing that one. And then eventually after we get to the express account, leave that one for itself, and then eventually start copy trading those two and try to catch up to the express account, and then trade each one individually while we have them on the express. Because again, it's going to be my first time on a funded account, but again, I'm still going to want to be trading good. I'm still going to be following my system and all that, so we're not really going to be too worried about it. But again, we're just going to try to take it a little bit slow on the fundeds, risking around like 0.5% to 1%. You're only going to have to aim for $200 days, which isn't too bad. Since we're here, we're aiming for like 500, we're aiming for like 1%. We're really just going to be risking 0.5%, taking it easy, trying to get that ROI back, so getting a payout. And then eventually we're going to start risking a little bit more heavy once we make the return on investment for the amount of money we spent on the evaluations, and then eventually the activation fees. So that's a big thing. I wanted my money back first, then before we can start going crazy on it. We're down. The objective is at 49. Again, we can just hit one trade and eventually bring the account back to what it really was. So like this day right here, where we've been through this before. We lost 1K, and then we made 1K the next day. So I'm not really against or ashamed or anything. Like you can have, especially when you're risking like this and you're playing these platforms like this, you can have such big losing days, then the next day you come back and you make it all back. So same thing with winning days. You can win, and then eventually you have the next day you lose, and you lose it all. So I guess it's really just a mentality and like risk tolerance, and you just have to be able to understand that the way you approach this, you cannot let your emotions or attachment to, if I'm being truly honest, you have to be very stoic, and you're gonna have to really understand yourself on a psychological level, and like your mission. I guess you have to put the mission above everything else, and of course the trades and the system and everything that your subconscious is going through, especially when that's why I preach so much in my vlog, that you have to backtest, you have to review your trades, you have to put them into a playbook, you have to understand what you're looking for and build that conviction, so whenever you do put on heavy risk like this, you're not second guessing yourself. I see a lot of traders, bro, they're approaching this so wrong, bro, and that's why I'm not afraid to risk so much, and that's why I'm buying more profit accounts, and that's why I'm continuing to put in more work, bro, because I see what people are doing wrong, and I see it real time. I've experienced it too. I've done that. I've been through that phase, and I'm doing the opposite now. I'm learning from those mistakes. I'm approaching things differently because I want different results. I approached it like them. I was copying these people, and I was following what they were doing. And that's why they were unprofitable, and that's why I was unprofitable, and that's why I was getting those results. Now I want different results, so I'm doing it differently. I'm doing things differently, and that's a big thing. That's pretty much really it, bro. Like I really do see myself by the end of this year, bro. I won't lie to you. I do see myself already having some fundeds getting payouts. I'm not going to say a certain amount because I don't want to limit myself to that amount, but I do see myself being funded, and I do see myself having payouts under my belt, and again, by the end of this year. So real soon. We just got to continue putting in more work. We got to continue showing up every single day and being consistent and being disciplined no matter what. And again, you build conviction by reviewing and understanding what you're looking for and why, and just re-ingraining that into your mind, into your subconscious, and being comfortable once you see it in real time and you take it and you don't second guess yourself, and you continue doing that every single day, and you keep building upon that, and then eventually it becomes easy. So yeah, that's pretty much really it.